he was considered one of the best bass players in the world. By the jazz musicians, by the Dizzy Gillespies, by all those great jazz musicians, they would come to see him play. Because when he would play, he wouldn't just play the bass, the upright bass, he'd go, and then he would use it as a drum. So it was incredible to watch him, especially in his later years when I traveled with him the last 5 years of his life. I got to go with him, and we'd be in front of 20,000 people at the Hollywood Bowl, and I'd bring him in a wheelchair, up on the stage, and all this great symphony and this great orchestra would be there, and then he'd get up with his stick and barely walk over to the bass. But there's something about this music that as soon as he would grab the bass, and he'd look at the musician and go, and then all of a sudden, and then he'd go crazy. And an hour and a half later, I'm dragging him back to the wheelchair. It's okay, it's fine. The same thing happens to my mom today. My mom was a great dancer when she was 15, 16 years old. And today she can barely walk. She's in a wheelchair, but she'll come to my event in LA in May, and she was just in Miami. And all of a sudden, when the music comes on, all of a sudden you'll see her standing up next to the wheelchair. And then she'll say, come over here. She still yells at me, and I go over and I start dancing. And after about a minute, she'll say, okay, put me down, put me down. But something happens with this music that we forget about the pain. I mean, when she lifts up her skirt, you'll see her all wrapped up, and the knees are all bandaged. But when something happens with this music, when it reaches that heart, you forget about all the pain and anything else. I remember when I take Cachao back to the hotel, he'd be like, oh man, why did you let me do that? I'm feeling it. But what happened with Cachao was, he's such a humble man that in 1960 he came to the United States from Cuba after doing all that stuff. And he played with Tito Puente, he played with most of the greatest bands in the bass. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. And everybody thought he had died or something had happened to him. And he went to the heaven of Cubans, which is Coral Gables in Miami. And that's where they all hang out. And he was lost in there somewhere. And he was doing bar mitzvahs and weddings and divorces, funerals. And he was basically dying of hunger. And Andy Garcia started looking for him, Andy the actor. And that's why he made this DVD. And what he did was he found him down there. And he said, you know what, we can't let you live like this. The world has to know how great you are. So he made a concert that Gloria Estefan, Paquito de Rivera, Jimmy Bosch, Germán Olivera, these are all great names of people that got together, and it's part of that DVD, Como Mi Ritmo No Hay Dos. You can also buy the CD, which was the first Grammy that he ever got, which is called Master Sessions Volume